It's Wednesday, December 6th. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we talk to Deputy Chief Matthew Sonnabend. He gives us some tips on how to be a savvy shopper this holiday season. Then we will meet the new fire chief at the Hyannis Fire Department, Peter Burke. And finally, we'll learn all about the new Hyannis Homebuyer Assistance Program with Arden Cadron. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. A reminder that the transfer station and recycling center will be closed this morning, December 6th, from 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. for the annual DPW department-wide meeting. The Department of Public Works and the transfer station and recycling center apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause. The HYCC is hosting a Christmas tree giveaway sponsored by EJ Jackstimer. EJ Jackstimer has donated Christmas trees for any family that may be in the need this season. Come by the HYCC tonight, December 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. or until the trees are gone for a free tree. Please bring rope or twine so that the tree can be tied to your vehicle. A new vendor has taken over the Barnstable Municipal Airport Cafe. Cape Cod Coffee of Mashpee is now in the cafe located in the airport terminal. They will offer visitors and travelers pastries, bagels, muffins, grab-and-go salads, grab-and-go sandwiches, as well as their signature coffee. Free parking will be available to the public in designated spaces near the cafe. The cafe hours will be 5:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Town of Barnstable Public Health Division will hold a flu clinic at the HYCC tomorrow, December 7th, from 2 to 4 p.m. The clinic is open to town residents only, and the fee is just $3. For more information, you can call the Health Division at 508-862-4644. Up next, we get some tips on how to stay safe this holiday season with Deputy Chief Matthew Sonnabend. Deputy Chief, thank you so much for joining us today. The holidays are coming up, and we want to make sure that all of the residents in the town of Barnstable are safe, especially when it comes, because we're all making big purchases and things like that.
Yep.
What kind of tips do you have to make sure that we're all, savvy shoppers and are being safe?
Well, you want to make sure, obviously, we do know that we are all out there buying Christmas presents this time of year, but we also know that some unsavory people can also be keeping an eye on you and looking around to grab up those purchases that you've bought for your loved ones. And when you put in your car, if you go to the mall or you go to some of these other stores, make sure obviously you lock your car. If you have the option of covering up packages or putting them in a trunk or somewhere where people can't see them, that is also a good idea. Be aware of your surroundings when you're going to your car and whatnot. Just kind of keep an eye open. Just be vigilant and be aware. Make yourself a little bit less of a target for anybody that might be looking to snatch a purse or something like that. People that are not really paying attention, looking on their phones, or not aware of their surroundings tend to be victimized a little bit more than people who, don't present themselves as much of an easy target. When you're shopping in stores, remember, by all means, make sure that you keep track of your credit cards and whatnot. And as the season progresses, make sure you check your bills for any fraudulent activity, as people do tend to snoop on people when they're making their purchases and try and grab up credit information, or even using the skimmers at ATMs and whatnot. So I guess the biggest thing you can do is be aware of your surroundings, what is going on, just kind of pay attention. I know everyone's a little busy, caught up in the moment and concentrating on their tasks of shopping and everything else, but just be aware of what's going on and don't make yourself an easy target for anybody. Mm-hmm. And if you're having packages delivered to your home, if possible, have them placed somewhere where people don't readily see them. We do see a lot of package thefts, not necessarily in the town of Barnstable, but around the state and around the country. It makes news this time of year where people, get a UPS delivery and people are snagging them off the front doorstep and whatnot. So try and time your package deliveries for when somebody's home, and if you can't, maybe have a little something you can put them in or off to the side where people can't readily see them from the street. And as far as your Christmas lights and whatnot, make sure you're watering your tree. I got to throw in a little bit of fire safety. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're watering your tree, not leaving your lights on overnight and whatnot. But just be careful and be cautious. We want everybody to have a safe and happy holiday season.
Yeah, I want to go back to being at the mall and mm-hmm. the skimmers and things, because I had a couple weeks ago, I was at the Providence Place Mall and my card was somehow they got my card number, and luckily my bank contacted me and said, did you just buy $140 worth of groceries in Pembroke, Massachusetts? And I was like, no. So it's important to be aware of these things, and that they can happen, and you have, no reason to know that they're going to happen. I mean, I think the only thing, I purchased something at, the convenience store at the mall, but I mean, it's something as simple as that, and someone can grab, they can get your credit card number, and they can, if you have the money, they can cause all kinds of havoc. So, make sure that your bank is, you have all of your fraud things set up with your bank, and because, like I said, it can happen, and you just don't even know.
Yes, it does. Even when you're being really vigilant and careful, it can still happen, because, sometimes you can have clerks that gather the information and give it to other people, or, it's hard to prevent, but it makes it a lot easier to catch it, even if someone starts doing it to you, if you're paying attention and checking your statements and, aware of your surroundings and whatnot as best you can.
Yeah, things are so sophisticated today. I mean, they don't even need to steal your credit card anymore. They just need to get the information, and they can make a fake card, and it's,
That's correct. They get the information, they can do some online shopping even without the credit card and order purchases and things like that. And that's another thing, too, this time of year, and people calling your house. If people are calling your house and looking to get any kind of information from you, you should be wary of it. If they're trying to verify card information or anything, get their person's information and call the 1-800 number or your customer service number for whatever service you normally use, and just verify. This happened to me the other day. I got a text, from my Verizon Wireless, said that my account was temporarily locked, and I needed to go to a website to verify that I was the actual user. And I called up Verizon, and it was a phishing scam. So it happens to everybody.
Yep.
But you just got to question when you start getting things like that, and just be, go the extra mile, make a phone call to your customer service, and just verify that these are in fact legitimate people that are trying to verify things with you.
Unfortunately, not everyone out there is nice and wants to do the best thing. Unfortunately, we have these people that are out there just to do harm. So
that's correct.
Yep.
That is correct.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
Before I let you go, we also want to remind everybody that you guys are still collecting at the police station and all of the fire departments in the town of Barnstable for the Toys for Tots, and also you guys are also collecting for a baby center, because the Stuff-A-Bus, I can't believe it, it's this weekend.
It's already here. We're going to stuff the bus. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Stuff-A-Bus this weekend, obviously down at the Kmart Plaza down at Toys R Us. That starts Friday and ends Sunday. But you're right, we are collecting here at the police station for Toys for Tots. We're also collecting for the baby center in Hyannis, and the baby center tends to focus on children under the age of 4, diapers and other things they may need in addition to toys. But we're accepting these donations to make sure that everyone has a good Christmas. All the children deserve to have a good Christmas and not to have to worry about finances and things like that this time of year. And it's really nice for people to step up, and the generosity you see this time of year is great. And don't let it go away after Christmas. Still keep in mind your neighbors who may be in need, and there are organizations year-round who do collect and get the essentials for people to help them get through what can be difficult times for them.
It's so true. I also want to put a plug in for, don't forget teenagers. I often volunteer with my father at the Falmouth Service Center, and that's the number one thing, is that they get lots of toys for little kids, and lots of toys for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. But then when you starting into the older ages, it gets a little bit tougher. So gift cards and things like that go a long way with the teens. So
you're right.
Thank you so much, Deputy Chief, for joining us today, and good luck with the Stuff-A-Bus this weekend.
No problem. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. My guest today is Deputy Chief Matthew Sonnabend. Coming up, we'll talk to Arden Cadron about the Hyannis Homebuyer Assistance Program. But first, let's meet the new Hyannis Fire Chief, Peter Burke. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on becoming the new chief. You've been chief for how many months now? About 3 months?
It's been about 5.
5 months. Wow. My
Time
gosh.
flies.
It does fly. So we wanted to kind of introduce you a little bit to the residents of the town of Barnstable. And yes, you are the chief here in Hyannis, but it's one big town. We all work together. So
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about your history in the fire service. How long have you been a firefighter, and what was your decision for joining?
Sure. So I was fortunate to join my hometown volunteer fire department as like a 16-year-old junior firefighter, and then got hired in the community of Seekonk shortly thereafter, which is just outside of Providence, Rhode Island. I worked there for about 12 years. I was promoted to lieutenant and had done some fire prevention work prior to that in Seekonk. Seekonk has some similarities to Hyannis as a fairly large commercial district and a little more of an urban area. While I was in Seekonk, I applied for the deputy fire chief's job in Barnstable Village, which I was fortunate to get in 2012. And I was there up until I came to Hyannis. So in Barnstable Village, I was fortunate to do a lot of work on fire prevention and in training. I was able to leverage some things that I had gained in Seekonk in terms of experience running a shift that I think made me successful there. And when Chief Brunel retired and this job became available, I applied, based on this geographic proximity and the fact that I had some experience in working with the fire districts and within the community, and knew Hyannis' reputation as a progressive and aggressive fire department, and that was attractive to me. And I was fortunate enough to be selected and land here in July.
Wonderful. Is there any particular reason why you ended up coming to the Cape? Was it the job that opened in Barnstable Village, or? Well,
I think Cape Cod has a number of attractive features. Certainly the quality of life in Barnstable, we all know, is excellent, right? It's a wonderful town services and a great place to live and raise a family, which we're doing here. So when that job had become open in Barnstable Village, it was really attractive to my family and I. And again, we were able to move down here and really enjoy life here. So that was attractive.
Wonderful. I know that it's been talked a lot about how the Hyannis Fire Department is one of the busiest fire departments in the state of Massachusetts. How has that been for you coming into not that I'm saying that Barnstable Village is not busy, because I know my brother is a firefighter in Barnstable Village. I know they're very busy, but I know how Hyannis is just, there's constantly things going on. How has that transition been for you to be in such a busy, almost city-like department?
It really is, so Hyannis is a designated urban area, which I learned I was in the process of applying here. So it very much is Cape Cod City Fire Department. And because the firefighters here do such a great job, and our officers are excellent, and our shift commanders do a wonderful job running the shift, the challenges here, for me anyways, really haven't been relevant to how busy we are, just because they do such an excellent job with it. So that adjustment's been fairly easy. And again, where we're off Cape, we had a fairly similar pace, not as big and not as busy, but it was somewhat comparable. So I had an expectation of what it was like for the guys to be essentially gone all day. So when our firefighters come to work in the morning, there's a good possibility they may not get back to the station until later on that day. They might miss lunch. They're out of the firehouse all night. So for them, they are in fact very, very busy. And there is some trickle-down effect to that. As a result of that call volume, we're dealing with the issues that come with that. So, but again, they're excellent, and that made the transition easy.
Yeah, it's great when you have a great staff and people that you work with that can make things like that, not feel so overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely right.
What kind of ideas and plans do you have for while you're here in Hyannis that maybe some goals that you want to accomplish? I mean, I know you've only been here for 5 months, so, this might be like 3-5 year kind of goal things, but is there anything in particular you're looking forward to, tackling here in Hyannis?
Sure. So, I think the interesting thing about Hyannis is, and one of the reasons it was attractive, is it has such a strong foundation. So, you can see some of the new apparatus around you, the new fire station getting built. So coming here, there's a great foundation to build off of. So I'm able to kind of work off of what my predecessors had done and continue to move the organization forward. So we are working on things like leveraging technology. So we've recently gone to essentially a cloud-based online crew management system. So our firefighters can schedule their time via the computer now. We've actually had remarkable success in that, reducing some of our overtime and our what we call forces, where firefighters are held over. So just implementing that in the last month or so it's really been remarkable. So using things like that, where partially as a result of the new station construction project, we're also looking at leveraging additional technology. So some new radio systems, some computer-aided dispatch systems, which will hopefully make us more efficient and provide our firefighters more information while they're in the field. We're actually considering becoming part of a pilot program with the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security on a tablet-based situational awareness platform. So again, because we have a great foundation here and because we have great staff that make that foundation, we're really able to look at what the future holds, not just for Hyannis, but for the fire service in general. So we're really interested in using some of our younger staff members who are really gung-ho on that stuff and moving forward in that direction. In addition to that, we have a lot of interest in continuing our community involvement. So our firefighters do a great job with Barnstable Kids Day and Operation Warm a couple of years ago, and MDA Fill the Boot. And it's our intention to continue to grow that community involvement. The community has supported us through the new fire station construction project, but also through our day-to-day, and it's our hope that we continue that community engagement.
That's wonderful. Well, welcome aboard. I know, like I said, I know it's been 5 months, but I'm so happy that, you know, we got a chance to have you on the show and let our residents and viewers of Barnstable Today get to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. My guest today is Chief Peter Burke of the Hyannis Fire Department. Arden, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about the Hyannis Homebuyer Assistance Program, which I know started a couple months ago. Let's start with, where did the idea for this program come from, and how did that, you know, get started?
Well, we're using our community development block grant funds for this program, and affordable housing is one of the prime initiatives of that program. And we decided to start with the village of Hyannis because it right now has a larger percentage of rentals versus the other 7 villages, the other 6 villages. And we're trying to promote homeownership, and we're trying to promote some neighborhood stabilization, which homeownership does help to achieve. So we decided to focus in Hyannis. There's also limited availability of funds, so it helps to sort of target a particular area. And this is a trial. We'll start with Hyannis, and we hope to expand it to the other villages as well.
Wonderful. Now, what exactly are the community development block grant funds for anyone who's not sure what that is?
Sure. So that's CDBG funds. They're federal funds that the town receives. We're an entitlement community, so every year we get an allocation of funds from the federal government, from HUD. Many people have heard of HUD. And then there are some available uses, some allowable uses with those funds. And this year we decided to start this program.
Wonderful. Well, this is a great use of those funds.
It
so,
is.
I mean, that's, you know, but there's a lot of little intricacies that go on with this program. So let's kind of start with what exactly the program is.
Right. So the program is financial assistance to income eligible first-time home buyers. So income eligible has a financial number attached to that. You have to be less than 80% of the median income, depending on your household size. And then you need to be a first-time home buyer. There are some caveats to that, which we can explain to you if people contact the office. And you need to be eligible to receive a first mortgage from a local lender. So this program assists you in filling that gap between what you can afford to borrow and what the prices are on the market, because as everybody knows, these prices are just increasing constantly. There's really not much available out there for somebody at 80% of the median, so we're giving you a little more buying power. And it's in the form of a second mortgage, so it is a lien against your property, but there's 0 interest and there's no payments required during the time that you own the house. You would only pay the funds back when you sell the house. And at that point, you know, hopefully you'll have built some equity in the house and be able to pay those funds back.
Right. So you're looking for buyers that can already get approved for that first mortgage. And you could almost look at the $75,000 as, you know, you take the total amount of the house that you're looking at and be like, okay, what we would end up paying would be $75,000 less.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, you're getting, you know, a no payment $75,000 loan, which is fabulous. It helps you to have more stability in that house. You're not reaching beyond your means. You're not spending more of your monthly income on housing than is really practical or safe.
Yeah.
So that's what this $75,000 does. So for example, if you're pre-approved, we'll use simple round numbers. If you're pre-approved, you've gone to a bank, they've looked at your numbers, your income, you're pre-approved for about $200,000, you can now look for a house for $275,000 because these funds will help assist you with that purchase.
And that's a really large, you know, help. I recently bought a home about 4 years ago, and it's the market is very difficult out there. You have to be really keen to be looking at, you know, what you're getting versus where you are, and there's so many parts of it that to be able to look at that house that you might not normally have been able to look at,
exactly,
that's just out of your range, or that's going to be a huge help to so many people if they can get
Absolutely.
that first mortgage.
If they can get that first mortgage, and it, you know, we're hoping that it also helps you to buy a house that doesn't need a tremendous amount of work, because that's a challenge as well. You might be able to find something on the market, but you need to have a lot of cash in the bank to be able to make these repairs on the house. So we're hoping it also helps you to purchase something that's in a little better shape, so that it's not going to be a burden on you once you own it, and continue to use a lot of your income towards repairs.
That's wonderful.
So, and as a reminder, it does need to be within the village of Hyannis. So the map for the village of Hyannis, we're using the fire district map. We have that map available for anybody who's interested if they're looking at a property and need to know if it's within the village. But that is another criteria. And at this point, only single-family homes are eligible. Condominiums are not eligible. We're trying to get families into neighborhoods and people into neighborhoods.
Wonderful. Now, how is the payback process, the $75,000?
Well, if in a few years, a number of years, the average person, believe it or not, only owns a home for 7 years. I think when you buy your house, you think you're not going to fall in that statistic, but it happens. For whatever reason, hopefully for good reasons, your income has increased or your family size has increased. So when you sell that house, you have to just remember that 75% of that is going to come back to the town. So there's a mortgage on your property, so at closing, it will be clear to all the attorneys involved that $75,000 of that equity does need to come back to the town. I don't expect to be receiving any funds back soon, but when they do come back, we can reprogram those funds.
That's wonderful. That's a great way to kind of build that continuing of the program in by having that money come back in that way. Whether you live in the house for 5 years, 25 years, 35 years, the town will get that money back and can continue the program, hopefully.
Absolutely. It's a different method of assisting people at income eligibility. Often it's done with a deed restriction, but deed restrictions limit the amount of equity that you can build and the amount of funds you can get back. And it's so there's two different methods. And we're choosing this route this time to see how if it's more effective in assisting people to get into home ownership.
Wonderful. Well, hopefully you'll get some great candidates that come in that are ready to move forward with the mortgage, the first mortgage, so they can get the second mortgage, and then they can find a wonderful house in Hyannis. I live in Hyannis and I absolutely love it. So there's nothing wrong with living in Hyannis. It's a great village.
It is.
It's a great community.
Hyannis has a lot of potential, and the town is focusing a lot of our planning efforts in Hyannis, and I agree. It's I think only a great place to live. So for those people who might be interested, they can contact the Planning and Development Department. There's applications online that they can fill out online and bring them in. We'd be happy to meet with anybody if they have an application ready and help walk them through that process.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming in, telling us all about this great Hyannis Homebuyer Assistance Program, and I can't wait to hear about some success stories that you have coming up in the next year or so.
Great, thanks for having me. I look forward to coming back and sharing those stories.
Wonderful. My guest today is Arden Cadron. She's the Housing Coordinator in the Planning and Development Department. Now let's take a look at this week's community calendar. The Barnstable Village Christmas Stroll will take place tonight, December 6th, from 6 to 8 p.m. on Main Street in Barnstable Village. Main Street will be shut down and visitors can enjoy free food, Christmas carols, and so much more. For more information, you can visit www.barnstablevillage.org. The Osterville Village Christmas Stroll is happening this Friday, December 8th. The day-long event begins at 10 a.m. and will continue throughout the day and into the evening, ending around 9 p.m. Events include live music, a visit from Santa, Mrs. Claus and one of Santa's elves, cornhole, tree lighting at the library, and lots of good food and refreshments. For more information, you can visit www.ostervillevillage.com. Now let's take a look at this week's board, committee, and commission schedule. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new show. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Town Manager Mark Els, and we'll also talk to Town Council President Eric Steinhilber. He's going to tell us all about Thursday's Town Council meeting. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.